first thing to say, as a way of introduction, is just this play is typical of the work that we do, in as much as it's commissioned work. So it goes to what we call processed work. In other words, we find a writer that we like, or a particular piece of work that we like, through our network. Either they come to us through recommendation, or we see their work, or somebody somewhere says there's a little idea this person could be a really potentially very good writer, or they're already established and we say, would you write something for us? And this process was typical in as much as there was a little nudge from someone at UEA, one of the lecturers at UEA, that this writer, Janice, who was doing an MA, was really pretty interesting writer, and that she was working on a piece. Here's Lorna. Hey Lorna.
Hello.
And Cheyenne. That she was working on a piece that could be interesting, and I got a copy of the script, and we started the process of working through it. This was about 3 or 4 years ago, and working with Jazz, the very first play, and then we worked on a process, and it's taken us on a journey that's brought us here today. And that's a typical one typical process. Like a sort of story of her father, and who's represented again in the play. But what was interesting in the dramaturgy development process was that she was really focusing on, obviously, the story, the Nigerianness of it, the balance. I was working on the logic of it, because could I understand it? Could I access it as a non-Nigerian? And that actually then translated itself over into the rehearsal process as well, where I was constantly being challenged by these guys and vice versa to make sure that the process was fully engaged, so that you would enjoy it as non-Nigerian necessarily, but you might actually, if you're Nigerian, you might get another layer, and so on and so forth. So the play would develop universal themes. So the answer is, we commissioned what we thought would be a really interesting idea.
It's quite interesting. We were discussing it during break time, that even though it's typically a Nigerian sort of script with Nigerian themes, some of them were quite universal. We sat down and were discussing it, and we were thinking, well, this would happen in any community.
Well, this is something Lorna is very...
The mother-daughter relationships, aspirations, the two daughters and everything else. Some of the themes were quite universal.
Lorna wanted to comment.
Yeah, that's what was appealing to me when I first read the script. As a British growing up with Jamaican parents, and also I had 3 brothers and sisters that was born in Jamaica that came over, so they have a different story also from me. They had a different struggle, with my parents. So and also the packing. Oh my goodness, my mother can pack for days, and she can fit the whole house and in a luggage, and she will go to the airport and she will get through. She's done it every single time. She's like, she'll talk. She'll say something and they'll let her through. I don't know how they let her through with everything in the whole house in the back. But it has got a universal story, a universal shape, and you can be anybody and understand and relate to some issues within the play.
Challenges. I have to say that the universality, I think, is in the play. But actually, I found in the process, both of helping to shape the play, but also working with these guys, I don't know what you think, Cheyenne and Richard, one of the hardest things in this play is the shift between comedy and drama. Because there are quite significant shifts in this play, in the writing. And it was trying to kind of keep it so that we didn't suddenly slam the brakes on humour, but it does kind of work that way to an extent. And eventually we sort of started to embrace that and think, well, actually, that is what families are like. You have a dinner scene where everyone's laughing and joking, and the next minute, if it's anything like me with my teenage children, the next minute everything is completely changed. I don't know if that was tough to play as well, guys.
Yeah, I think it was important to, for me anyway, to find the drama in the piece and allow any humour and any comedy to come out of the drama. I wanted to, when I first got the job, to play for the comedy, because I'm from Nigeria, I understand the humour. Lots of the situations have happened to me in real life, especially the packing and stuff. Lorna plays a character very similar to my mother. She played, and so it's really easy. And I've done a lot of Nigerian theatre, lots of Nigerian, for lots of different African theatre groups. And this kind of play, it's very easy just to play it for comedy for a Nigerian audience or for a West African audience who understand totally. But this play in particular I found just after the first week of rehearsals that it was more important to play the drama, and the lines would allow the comedy and the humour to expose itself. I think it would be a lot. It's a lot more authentic and sincere when you play the drama, and then people laugh at the comedy and laugh at the funny situations.
Because that's life. Sorry to cut you. That's life. That's how life is. Life, we go through life, and comedy just comes out of everyday things, everyday situations. And that, and not especially in my life.
Originally, I'm not the writer, but I just helped to structure. It's Janice's work. Do you remember, if you could just put your mind back to the after the big speech about the daughter getting sacked, and then you will honour him. When we first had the play, the next series of scenes, the pastor on the phone, and then giving advice to Dele, then going into the box room for the sisters to have the truthful scene, the reveal scene, then having the pill scene. And then coming back to the mum to come and see the pastor, all of those are happening almost identical time. And when we did the play originally, we were trying to structure those scenes. We were able to work between 3 scenes. So you actually had the mother and the pastor here. Then we were trying to layer it, but it didn't work. It got too messy. But hopefully you get a sense right there that is a moment. And structurally, we tried to concentrate that period of time, took all the music out, and tried to layer it in very, very quickly to get an instant response to that big speech.
I think a lot of it was mentioned earlier about how you can transpose this story into any family that's of an ethnic minority, whether they be Pakistani, Indian, South American, any group of people that have come from a different place and have relocated into England. There are taboos about. There are taboos about how your children develop in the new environment, and one of those things is how African kids from the African diaspora or the West Indian diaspora, the Pakistani diaspora, how they assimilate into British culture. And swearing is one of those things that, unfortunately, I guess you could say, is part and parcel of growing up in England. And that's probably one of the biggest dramas that happen in families when young people are growing up in families where, one, they're very religious, 2, swearing is just not the done thing within the household, and then kids are trying to balance that lifestyle with one being second and third generation Pakistani, Nigerian, wherever they're from, and being British kids. In truth, anything, the portrayal of religion in any form, if you're not religious, is going to be funny to you. Some guy sprinkling around holy water is going to be funny to you if you're not a Catholic, if you're not into it. And the only time it seems funny to a group of people are the people who haven't seen it before, and it seems totally ridiculous. If this was done in Nigeria, for instance, it wouldn't be funny for me to be rubbing white stuff on me. It would be like, this is what you do. This is the done thing. And it's put when it's the juxtaposition is Britain and Catholicism and an African way of thinking. That's where you find, just because of where we're doing it, that's when you find the humour. You find the humour in the differences and not necessarily in the practices.